Recording in progress.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. We have 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes. Was there an update? We have 2 minutes. Was there an update? We have 1 minute. Was there an update? We have 2 minutes. I got this. Was there an hang on, don't go anywhere. Is there an update? Yeah, but it's the other thing I'm. We have 1 minute. I got this. Is there an hang on, don't go anywhere. Yeah, but it's the other thing I'm. We have 1 minute. Wasn't there before. We have 1 minute. Wasn't there before. Thank you. I think I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. I think I'm good. Thank you. Uh-oh. Board secretary needs 1 minute. Thank you, President Gardner. Board secretary needs 1 minute. Thank you, President Gardner. Board secretary needs. Thank you. I show 9:30.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's call to order the regular board meeting of the Western Municipal Water District. Tammy, would you please conduct a roll call?
Thank you. Good morning. Director Torres.
Here.
Director Dinstedt,
Good morning, I'm present.
Director Roten,
I am here.
Director Risby,
Good morning, I'm here.
President Gardner.
I am here as well.
Thank you. Good morning. President Gardner, you do have a quorum today.
Thank you very much. We have the honor today of being led in the Pledge of Allegiance by our Deputy General Manager, Tim Barr, who needs no further
we have a
introduction.
special guest today. Mr. Barr is going to lead us in the pledge from the podium.
I am honored to lead you in the pledge this morning. Will everyone please rise and join me?
Well, wait a second. You didn't go through how long you've been with the district.
I was born here. Let's leave it at that. All right, ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. There might be somebody watching who doesn't know all about you. Would you tell us just a little bit about your career here?
So I started here at Western in 1989 as an intern. I was a student at UC Riverside. So we have a number of interns who have become full-time employees here at Western. I'm just one of them. I had the distinguished opportunity to kind of oversee Western's demonstration garden and the conservation programs and some planning projects. I had a lapse in judgment and left Western for 3 years. And then I have now been back for 15 years. So I'm happy to be here at Western. Western is a great place.
We are happy to have you here. And you did participate in a program that was the second best ever class, didn't you?
No. Class of 2000, best class ever of Leadership Riverside.
Close, but not quite. 95 was better.
Say so.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, moving on to public comments. Tammy, have we received any, or is there anyone online or in the room who would like to speak?
President Gardner, I received no written requests. I have no online requests. However, I do have a request for a member of the audience. So at this time, I'll call John Farnsworth.
Morning, Mr. Farnsworth. I'm not sure if you're familiar, you've got 3 minutes, but.
To comment that I was pleasantly surprised that the streets, when they were finally paved, came out very nicely. That's not what I was expecting. I was expecting just paving the strip where the damage was done, but you did the whole street. It looks very nice, it drives nice, and so forth. So the contractor you hired, I'm glad that they did a good job.
Great.
And that you asked them to do it that way rather than just piecemeal it. Second reason I'm here is I understand that there is a apartment complex down the road at the closed Kmart, that they're planning 350 some odd apartments. We were advised at a meeting recently that WMWD provided them a letter of something saying that you agree to provide water for all those apartments. I would like to have a copy of that letter. I would like to have a copy of the study that was made behind that to support that letter. And I'm following through this morning. I sent Ms. Torres an email yesterday. So this is just me following through on that request so that I can understand it and present that to the Mission Grove group, who is quite honestly quite opposed to that type of an apartment complex in this housing area. So I'm just reiterating my request.
Great, thank you very much.
Director Torres doesn't know that she has that email yet because we haven't forwarded it to her, just to give her a little bit of cover. We will respond or help Director Torres respond, engineering team and the development team. I got that yesterday, I forwarded it to them, so we will provide that information.
Great, thank you. Okay, no further public comment?
We have no further comments.
Okay, moving into presentations, Mr. Miller.
Well, this is a fun presentation. Michael Mauser is hopefully here. Oh, there he is. Our IS group, once again, is an award-winning group. And so I asked Michael to come and give the board an update in our presentation segment. So, Michael?
Good morning. Thank you, Craig. And good morning, board members. Again, Michael Mauser. I'm the Deputy Director of Information Services at Western. And today I have the privilege to present the MESAC Excellence in Information Technology Practices Award. It's from the Municipal Information Systems Association of California. We call it MESAC. The MESAC organization is comprised of public agencies, cities, towns, and special districts throughout the state of California. Last count, there were over 400 agencies and 1,800 individuals participating in the organization. It's a great opportunity for us to collaborate with our peers, learn from them, and kind of compare how we're doing against those through the awards process. Each year at the annual conference, MESAC awards the Excellence Award to recognize agencies for implementing technology practices that excel in creative and efficient use of agency resources and demonstrates outstanding governance and operations practices. Consideration for the award is a comprehensive application consisting of over 100 questions across 11 practice areas that include topics such as budget, strategic planning, project management, and cybersecurity. Our final package is prepared by the IS team, but it includes input from several departments, including finance, GIS, and customer service and communications. So our submission this year was over 700 pages, and that consists of our narrative responses to those practice areas, as well as quite a bit of supporting material. So it's a great opportunity for us to analyze what we're doing year over year. This year, Justin took lead in preparing the application as our newest member, so it gave him a great opportunity to learn a little bit about what we do and see what kinds of areas we focus on. He did a great job, and we successfully received the award. There's always something to learn, so we'll get responses back from our application evaluation, and we'll use that to continue to build these practices. So, and I'll also mention that the past 2 awards years, I have also served as a member of an evaluation team. So I got the opportunity to evaluate other agencies' application submissions, and there's no free passes. We don't just rubber stamp it. Not everybody who applies gets the award. So out of all of those agencies, I'm not sure how many applied, but less than 30 received the award. So this is Western's, our 5th consecutive and 9th overall award, receiving the MESAC Excellence in IT Practices Award. So I'm very pleased to present this today. It's a great opportunity for us to kind of show how well we're doing. It represents excellence in IT practices across all of Western Water, not just the IT staff. From our board's leadership, I mentioned things like budget, so we get support through the board's policy actions to support what we're trying to accomplish. We have very healthy budgets as it compares to other agencies, so that's a strength for us. To our leadership team and our staff members who log in every day and carry out the mission. And congratulations to Western, and I would also like to offer my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the IS team who is here with us today for leading the way. Thank you.
Michael, for the board, can you introduce the team?
Sure. I'll start with Justin sitting up front. You guys have gotten to know him over the last 6 months or so. We have Steve Gustafson. He is he was used to be Justin. So he's been here for quite a while. He leads our infrastructure user services kind of roles. We have Victor Cano. He is our 2nd most tenured IS employee. He's an application specialist. He takes care of our ERP system and things like that. And Andy Pong joined us just a couple of years ago, bringing over 20 years of experience from the city of Santa Monica, and he's kind of a peer with Victor. They together team up to support all of our critical enterprise applications like ERP and which is our finance system, our work management system that our operations teams relies on, and things like that. And then finally, Wayne didn't join us in the room because he's having a little bit of a throat and cough issue, and so he wants to kind of isolate a little bit. He's on Zoom. Wayne Kowalty is our most senior tenured IS employee here. He's been here for, I think 17 years or somewhere around that time frame. He came right after Greg Duker. So if those of you that remember Greg Duker, Wayne came in right after Greg. So he is with us on Zoom. Wayne is our cybersecurity officer, and he also sort of our lead network engineer. He deals with a lot of our network, connecting this building to the operations building to the desalter and things like that. So Wayne leads those areas as well as our cybersecurity efforts. So it's a great team. I'm very privileged to be a part of it, and they do great things.
Thank you. I don't know if the board has comments, but we would like to take a picture with the IT team down front, if we could.
Is this the award here?
Board. So after today, it will go in our front cabinets.
Absolutely.
So that we can refresh. They might have to take out some of the older ones. You know, we have 9, so they might have to take out some of the older ones and put the new one in. But yeah, I'll get that to the management team and get that updated so it's on display for everyone.
Well, I think it warrants that if we have to move older awards out, maybe we need to just buy another award case,
The bigger cabinet.
okay? So
It's a good problem to have.
it's an absolutely great problem to have. Thanks for all the work that you do. And, you know, I just want to take a second and talk about the collective experience. We got a lot of years collectively on the IT team. And so you guys do outstanding work. Thank you for doing what you do, because I don't understand at all what you do. But I certainly want to support it in the budget because people like you protect everything that we've got going on. So thank you.
Other comments? Thank you all and congratulations. And, you know, I really appreciate how successful your team is in protecting us from outside folk getting into our system. You see that far too often in agencies that should be well prepared. And it's surprising, some of the ones that people successfully attack. And you and your team have fended that off so far, and we trust that you will continue to do so. So let's go take a
Thank you,
picture.
President Carter.
Are we ready, Tammy?
Yes, we are ready.
Okay, moving on then to the consent calendar. Does anyone wish to pull any of those items for discussion? And if not, is there a motion?
So moved.
And before we make a motion, I would just like to
Note the correction.
acknowledge the corrections that were
Yes.
made.
Yes.
There
So-
were some typographical errors. One on the agenda did not affect the substantive portion of the minutes for the October 4th meeting. They were corrected, it was reposted, and the board did receive updated copies with the typos corrected.
That is my motion.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Tammy, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Director Torres?
Yes.
Director Denstedt?
Aye.
Director Roten?
Yes.
Director Risby?
Yes.
President Gardner?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Great, thank you. Mr. Miller, have we anything to add to the agenda?
We do not.
Okay, brings us to our action items. Item 8A is authorizing the purchase of 3 zero-emission electric service trucks to comply with South Coast Air Quality Management District stipulated order for abatement. Can we get a presentation on this?
Yeah, thank you. So we presented this at committee, but I wanted to do the presentation again at the board meeting so maybe more of the public can see it. But, these are the challenges that we're going through as an operations and an agency team to deal with AQMD regulations and this conversion of electrifying our fleet and the challenges in doing so with AQMD and with the state guidelines. So, we're kind of put into a vice. We're supposed to convert, but the vehicles aren't there. And so the board is aware of some of the challenges we've had, but I wanted to have Dean and have Chris here and have Dean do the presentation because our staff has come up with some really creative solutions to save us some money to do this required conversion. And so I wanted to run through the PowerPoint again for the board. So Dean Standing Warrior is here, and thank you very much, Dean. It's all yours.
Thank you, Craig. Appreciate it. Good morning, directors. Thank you. So I'm here today to discuss the purchase of the 3 zero-emission electric service trucks to comply with South Coast Air Quality Management District stipulated order for abatement. So you will recall that staff recently represented Western Water in an AQMD hearing that resulted in a formal order of abatement. And I'm here today to solicit your approval for funding of 2 of the compliance measures in the order. So first slide here, we remember this is the order of abatement and the 5 items that we would like to share with you today. So number 1 is to install zero-emission vehicle infrastructure. Secondly is to replace the 6 heavy-duty diesel vehicles over the next 5 fiscal years. 3 is to implement a heavy-duty fleet purchasing plan to prevent future compliance issues. 4 is to develop a fleet electrification plan and provide annual updates to South Coast Air Quality Management District through fiscal year 2029. So with that, I'd like to share a little detail around item number 2 of the ask, which we will get to, and that's the purchase of 3 electric service trucks. So here in these pictures, from left to right, left picture we have our crane truck, middle picture we have our dump truck, and the third picture on the far right is our service truck. The order requires that Western Water replace 6 vehicles in total over 5 years. The first replacement requirement is 3 service trucks like in kind to the one shown on the far right in the picture. So also, and in future years, the first 2 pictures there, should technology be available, staff will pursue replacement of the crane truck and the dump truck, the left and middle picture there. This slide here shows through successful negotiations that we had with AQMD resulted in us being able to keep, us being Western, being able to keep these 2 vehicles here. These are 2 gap vac trucks. These trucks are highly expensive, very expensive, and specialized vehicles. These two vehicles here provide reliability, safety, and efficiency benefits to our district and our operations. Here we have the replacement schedule. You can see on the purchase order date column, these vehicles are listed in order of purchase, the first two being fiscal year 2024, beginning in quarter 3, and the subsequent years thereafter for the purchase of the remaining vehicles. I did want to note that should the electrical vehicles not be available, the order of abatement provides Western with the option to purchase gasoline vehicles. And I think last time we asked about these diesel vehicles, and that was a no. It was gasoline vehicles only. Slide 6. So the image on the upper right here, we have the service truck that we're looking to purchase to ask here today. 3 of those, I will note that that service bed fits on the Ford chassis only. And on the left there, we have the funding schedule. The first 2 years have been combined to meet purchase requirements and funding requirements as well. Our last slide here really is the one of the pieces of the order of abatement, and that's the commitment to install electric vehicle charging infrastructure. And we've done that through our partnership with Southern California Edison. We talked about this last time. This is really a program for a light-duty, medium vehicle option. We went with the medium-duty to heavy-duty vehicle option. Basically, Edison will provide all of the charging infrastructure up to a termination point where we have to then install our chargers and maintain those chargers for a period of up to 10 years. So there are some obligations that I just wanted to go over. So we are aware of them as part of this agreement. So first one is that Western Water is obligated to procure and install the 10 chargers, which we have done to this point already. We have those at our operations center. We are obligated to operate and maintain the chargers for 10 years, which I mentioned. We're also obligated to provide continuous monitoring of these chargers, and that's through cellular connection, basically seeing the use of the chargers, the data that's collected from there, the amount of charging when that's happening, and the fact that we're actually using it. Lastly is Western Water is obligated to purchase 9 electric vehicles that meet or exceed 6,000 pounds. That's the medium duty rating, anything above that. So we do feel with the order of abatement stipulations, the new CARB mandate requiring 1-for-1 electric vehicle purchasing, that meeting these obligations will not be an issue. So with that, we have our last slide, and I do have Chris Fike here if we have any questions that need answered. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. We're happy to answer any questions.
Well, let me start with one, Dean, if I can.
Sure.
Craig mentioned that the agreement that you have reached with South Coast District saves us, our customers, a fair amount of money. Can you tell us that figure roughly?
I'm calling my backup here.
Yeah, no problem. Director's Chris Fike, Deputy Director of Operations. Thank you for the opportunity. With respect to the savings, we're talking specifically regarding the repurchase of the GapVax vehicles, which are running to the tune of about $750,000 a piece now.
Okay. And that's assuming, of course, that you could actually find one that is a ZEV.
Well, true, yeah.
So, okay, thank you very much. So this is another example of our staff finding ways to accomplish the things we need to do to serve our customers and provide the service that we provide in the most cost-effective manner. And congratulations to you for that, and thank you very much. Our customers thank you.
Yeah, behind the scenes, so Anthony Budichin is, oh, there he is. He's in the back wave. And Chris actually went and presented at the hearing with AQMD and put up a good case to defend our vehicles. And I say defend our vehicles because we're not opposed to conversion to an electric fleet, but we want to do it on a schedule that makes sense. You know, we want to retire vehicles when they need to be retired, and then buy electric vehicles that can do the job that we need them to do. And that's the huge issue here is, literally we had to go defend our GAP-VAC trucks because there is not an electric truck that can do that job. Yet we have a regulation that we have to replace them, and that was, over $1.5 million that we would have to spend on vehicles that can't do the job. So, they did a great job of explaining that and getting some credit back from AQMD so that we can do that on a more realistic schedule. So no one wants to park or surplus vehicles that are perfectly good. And that's kind of the position that we've been put into. And so by the work that they did, they were really able to make sure that we can use those vehicles for a greater life and then maximize the purchase of electric vehicles that are capable of doing the job now. These are the lighter duty vehicles. And we all just have our fingers crossed that someone's going to come up with heavy duty vehicles that'll work. But the industry has to catch up.
A couple of extra little nuggets, if I may. Rest assured that the team's looking forward to the offsets associated with these. We'll be pursuing those, whether they be state or federal. And I also wanted to report out that AQMD Hearing Board was very excited about our proposal and let us know that we were the first water district to ever to come forward to them with such an aggressive proposal. I think we may have set the bar for others, so thank you.
Well,
Move to approve.
yeah. Congratulations
Second.
on that. This is another example, though, of how Western works hard to partner with our regulators. And in some cases, show them how we can best achieve their goals, and help guide them a bit. And those partnerships they're just invaluable. It helps the regulators, it helps those who are regulated, and in the end, it helps everybody, in this case, who is affected by air quality in Southern California. So, Director Torres.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I think, I work in regulations, and this is one that, usually comes down from the state without taking into account unfunded mandates, unintended consequences, and this is one of them, right? Like, how is a water district supposed to operate if you are forcing them into something that we're not ready to do? And so the fact that you have found solutions to that is great, and I just want to put it out for the public what it would cost us to be out of compliance with this rule.
I need their help. There's was it a daily violation?
Yep.
Penalty?
Since the date that we exceeded, and Anthony would be.
You're good. But you can pay a daily penalty for being out of compliance. So, we obviously would go and negotiate that the best we could. But from the point of non-compliance until you're in full compliance with the purchase of all these vehicles, if they really wanted to punish us, it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, the mandatory minimum penalties are there, and they continue to escalate over time.
Which
It's
is,
not-
if you're, to back up what Director Gardner said, it's a huge waste of our ratepayers' money to be out of compliance, and something that we didn't choose, we didn't opt into, but we're opted into. And so thank you for finding solutions. I'm glad that you were able to save those trucks. We're able to still deliver on those services. And I think a motion was made, but I was, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Okay. Thank you all very much, and again, congratulations.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, bringing us then to.
Take a vote.
I don't know, we could
Yes, a
vote.
Gotta vote.
We should vote.
I currently have a motion by Director Dinstedt and a second by Director Risby. Are we ready to call the vote? Director Torres?
Yes.
Director Dinstedt?
Aye.
Director Roten?
Yes.
Director Risby?
Yes.
President Gardner?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Great, thank you. Our next item is to consider increasing the budget of the Cohalco Intake Switchgear and Motor Control Center Replacement Project. Mr. Miller.
All right. Carl Francis is here today, filling in for Derek, who isn't in today. So Carl's going to actually have the next three items, but let's start with B, the Cohalco switchgear.
Good morning, directors. Thank you, Craig. The Cajalco Intake Switchgear and Motor Control Center Replacement Project aims to upgrade the power feed facilities for the pump stations in the southern portion of our water distribution system, specifically in the Gavilan Hills area south of Lake Matthews. The facility, originally built in 1960s, has reached the end of its design life. The initial budget for the project was set at $6.4 million by the board in April 2021. In October 2022, the staff returned to the board to request an increase of $1.2 million, bringing the total budget to $7.6 million. This increase, as approved by the board, was to address unanticipated cost escalations due to changes in regulatory requirements and unforeseen right-of-way issues. I am pleased to note that the completion of the construction for this project is expected in December of this year. Staff is presenting before you today to address additional costs stemming from two major challenges. First, the global supply chain has experienced substantial delays, causing setbacks in the delivery of crucial material and equipment. Furthermore, Southern California Edison has contributed to significant delays due to their backlog in handling projects like ours. These setbacks have not only postponed the project timeline, but have also resulted in cascading effects on other project tasks. Second, we have recently discovered that existing facilities do not conform to current electrical codes. This necessitates immediate remediation to comply with both legal and safety standards requirements. Given these challenges, staff recommends an additional allocation of $530,000 to the project. This will raise the budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 from $7.6 million to a new total of $8.13 million. To fund this increase, we propose reallocating funds from the potable tank refurbishment project, which will subsequently be financed through Riverside Asset Replacement Fund 205 reserves. This concludes my presentations, and I now invite your questions.
Do any directors have questions? If not, I would look for a motion.
I have a question. So I see there were change orders, but do you foresee anything else coming up? This is, the project has been delayed.
So in the budget, we have about $250,000 in contingency that was added just to cover any anticipated change orders in the future. And we will come to the board to make you aware of it before we approve them.
Okay, that leaves me with a question. Have we tapped into their contingency at this point?
Yes, we have tapped into our previous contingency. That's why we need this one.
Okay. So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Not. When the system is ready, Tammy, would you please do a roll call vote?
Yes.
Director Dennstedt?
Aye.
Director Roten?
Yes.
Director Rizvi?
Yes.
President Gardner?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And our next one is to consider awarding contracts for the Hillside Potable Water Reservoirs Number 1 and 2 Rehabilitation Project. Mr. Miller, do you want to do more introduction?
Thank you, President Gardner. So we presented this to the engineering committee, and a question came up at the committee about the level of contingency on this project, and I think our engineers were very confident that they were going to be able to build it within that contingency, but I think from a policy perspective, things happen that we don't always know are going to happen, and I think it is prudent to have a larger contingency in that project. So there was a change made to the board letter, and you have that to increase the contingency. Just want to give you that background. Carl, you want to give us a little more background on the project itself?
Yes. In January of 2021, staff initiated a comprehensive condition assessment of 16 potable water reservoirs through a contract with Harper and Associates Engineering Incorporated. The findings ranked Hillside reservoirs number 1 and number 2 as top priorities for rehab. Given their physical proximity and similarity, it is advantageous to combine these projects for economies of scale. The scope of rehabilitation includes crucial improvements such as recoating the interior-exterior of the tanks, repairing corrosion damage, adding structural reinforcements, and installing new fall protection and cathodic protection systems. The intention is to execute the rehabilitation sequentially, thus ensuring no disruption to our retail customers and maintaining fire flow protection. Emergency bypass measures are also included as part of the construction phase of the project. The financial impact will require an augmentation of our original budget. Initially, $800,000 was allocated for fiscal year 2023-2024 capital improvement and facilities plan for the potable tank refurbishment program design phase. Staff now recommends an increase of $1,051,674, elevating the total project budget to $1,851,674. This sum includes a construction contract with Advanced Industrial Services Incorporated for $1,590,100, and an amendment to the professional services contract with Harper and Associates Engineering Incorporated for an additional $38,240. The remaining funds will cover inspections, internal staff support, and contingencies. The budget adjustment of $1,391,674 will come from the Riverside Potable Asset Replacement Fund 205, with the balance sourced from asset replacement reserves, which has sufficient uncommitted reserves for the project. Initial funding for the project was allocated from the 2020A revenue bond debt issuance. However, most of it was reclassified for the Cajalco intake, switchgear, and motor control center replacement project, leaving us with $460,000 in the 2020A revenue bond debt issuance for this project. The project was advertised for public bidding on August 2nd of 2023. We received 5 bids ranging from $1.9 million to the low bid of $1,590,100 from Advanced Industrial Services Incorporated of Los Alamitos, California. Staff recommend awarding the contract to Advanced Industrial Services Incorporated. If the board approves the projects during this meeting today, we can issue a notice to proceed in November this year. The project is estimated to be completed within 200 calendar days, targeting a June 2024 completion. The project aligns with CEQA guidelines under Class 1 categorical exemption and has received a notice of exemption filed with the County of Riverside. We have with us today the Advanced Industrial Services Incorporated Project Manager, Mr. Pablo Gamboa. Pablo? This concludes my presentation. I now invite your questions for discussion regarding this project.
Let me begin by offering Mr. Gamboa an opportunity to speak if you would like to. Okay. So, any questions
Yes.
from board members?
Yes. I have a question, sir. If you could, so that the audience can hear you with your answers. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, directors.
And I just want to make sure, and these are my standard always go-to questions that I'm sure they prepped you for. So did you have any problems with the bid documents or any foreseen issues with doing this project to its completion with, because I'm your no change order girl.
No issues with the project, no issues with the contract and information. There's a pretty good contingency plan in there to cover anything that will come up to that project. So we don't see no issues completing it with budget and timeline.
Great. Thank you. And I just wanted to make a comment too, that the two top bidders were very tight. So this really is great. I'm happy to see that we had so many bidders come in and those two numbers were really close together. So thank you so much for being here today. We really do appreciate it and we look forward to working with you. And with that, Mr. President, I will move to approve this item.
Great. Other comments and/or a second?
I just to break it down to me, I don't think I attended the engineering meeting where this was discussed, and help me understand how we're going from $800,000 to $1.8 million. We had one project, now we're putting two projects together, which is why the amount is so much. Is that just on a very basic, is that the case?
Basically, the $800,000 that was allocated initially was for design, for the design phase.
Got it.
So now we're going to construction, and as you can see, the bid came in at about $1.6 million for the project, so we needed additional funds. Although we did not use all of the $800,000 initially, but we needed additional funds to complement the $800 so we can complete the project with.
Okay, so that means that the design was done way under budget, right?
Close to it, yes.
Okay, great. That was just my question. I'm like,
Good
$1
question.
million is a lot,
Thank you.
so, thank you.
Yep.
In addition, when the capital spending plan is put together, it's years in advance before we actually go out to bid on a project. So it could be an estimate when we put the capital spending plan together and get board approval for a capital spending plan. So the $800,000 could have been well under the current cost of things at that time.
Sure.
Thank you, Tim.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is
Wait a
there
second.
further discussion? If not, Tammy, when the system is ready?
Director Torres?
Yes.
Director Dennstedt?
Aye.
Director Roten?
Yes.
Director Rizvi?
Yes.
President Gardner?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Great, thank you. And our last business item is to consider awarding a construction contract for the Arlington DeSalter 85 well rehabilitation project.
So Carl will give you the background on the project. Similarly with the last project at the engineering committee, it was brought up that the question was asked if the contingency was low compared to normal, which it was. We've gone back and decided that it's prudent to bump up to our normal 10% contingency for the project. Unfortunately, that modification didn't make the board letter that went out, didn't change the agenda item itself. So you actually have that in front of you, that letter. So if you do like Carl's description of the project and you're feeling like approving it, I think the motion to approve it based on the revised letter that you have in front of us so we can incorporate that into the record would be great. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carl so he can actually describe the project rather than just the contingency.
Thank you very much. Directors, staff is recommending the Board of Directors to approve an increase in the project budget for the Arlington DeSalter Well Number 5 Rehabilitation Project. Originally allocated $450,000 in fiscal year 2022-2023. An additional $253,170 is now recommended, making the total project cost $703,170. The project aims to complete the final phase of the rehabilitation of the Arlington DeSalter's 5-well system, specifically focusing on well number 5. The process for rehabilitating well number 5 will include removal of the pump and motor, replacing the electric motor with new high-efficiency motor, inspection of all pumps components, and repair or replacement of the necessary parts, lowering the pump suction by adding 60 feet of pipe, video inspection of the well casing before and after rehabilitation, brushing of the casing, baling the accumulated materials at the bottom of the well, chemical treatment, airlifting and swabbing, as well as redevelopment, pumping, and surging. The project was advertised for public bidding on August 2nd of 2023, followed by mandatory pre-bid conference. 2 bids were received by the deadline of September 7, 2023. General Pump Company of San Dimas, California, emerged as the low bidder with a bid of $525,040 and is recommended for the contract award. Funds would be drawn from the Arlington DeSalter Asset Replacement Fund 415, with a portion from the 2028 revenue bond proceeds. If the project is approved during this board meeting, the notice to proceed will be issued in November, targeting an April 2024 deadline, which is before the summer month with the high demands of the Arlington DeSalter. This project is compliant with CEQA guidelines under the Class 1 categorical exemption and has received a notice of exemption filed by the County of Riverside. We have with us today Mr. Michael Garcia, Vice President of Operations at General Pump Company. All right. This concludes my presentation. I now invite your questions.
And again, we'll offer the contractor an opportunity to speak if you would like to.
Just really want to say thanks again for the opportunity and the consideration here, and I'm happy to be here and willing to answer whatever questions you guys have. So,
Start with Director Denstedt's question, which you've already heard.
Thank you. Yeah, same question. You know, you obviously attended the mandatory pre-bid conference. Any questions, problems that you saw with doing this project?
no, our company and myself personally has actually worked on the other 3 that are along that median as well, so we're very comfortable with that. And you're not a change order girl, I'm not a change order boy, so it's a match made in heaven, you know, so it's gonna be all right.
I like this. Absolutely, no. And I appreciate that wholeheartedly, and I appreciate all the good work that you've done with our agency and working with staff. So we really do look forward to completing the task and getting everything done and moving in the right direction. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And with that, Mr. President, I will go ahead and move this item for approval. With the modified, yes, with the modified contingency plan and the letter that was provided as a correction at the dais for us from staff.
Okay, any other questions?
Oh,
or
I
comments?
did have one question just that I asked. Did we find out, since we had 5 at the pre-bid conference, why the other 3 decided not to? Or were they just going against the competition here that had already done the others?
Oh, why? Carl, did we talk to the other bidders, find out why they didn't bid?
You know, General Pump have been doing all of our similar projects, so they're very familiar with it. And I think other contractors, when they see that, they kind of think that they might not be able to meet the same requirement because they're already in the area, they're closest, they can do it for a good price.
Gotcha.
This is not, and this is not uncommon at all. We have projects where we'll have 15 contractors show up for a bid walk, and none of them will bid. So it just depends on their personal business and what staff they have available and whether they think they're going to make money. I mean, it's all kinds of factors
Oh, yes.
that they take into account that sometimes have nothing to do with our project.
For sure.
And I think Derek mentioned this
One
at
other
the,
consideration on these wells, they're in the median of Magnolia Avenue. It's a somewhat constrained working environment, and you've got traffic on either side of you, and not every contractor wants to deal with that. And it's to our advantage that this vendor has done the other wells and knows precisely what's involved.
Exactly. Thank you, Director.
We have a motion and a second. Other discussion? If not, Tammy, when the system is ready.
Director Torres?
Yes.
Director Dinstedt?
Aye.
Director Roten?
Yes.
Director Rizvi?
Yes.
President Gardner?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it brings us to reports. Do we have anything from the general counsel?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, Mr. General Manager.
Oh, I've got a few. The first one, we told the board about Water Professionals Awareness Week. There's a big push in the water industry, and there was a lot of activities industry-wide. and we participated in those and enjoyed seeing some other entities and what they were doing to promote our careers, and we need to continue to build our industry as a great place for the youth of America to come and work in. So there was a lot of outreach that went on. We did organize 2 special activities, one here in Meridian, one out at El Sobrante, to thank the team for all their hard work and build a sense of community amongst the entire agency. So we made sure that people from Meridian went to the El Sobrante, and from El Sobrante came to Meridian to enjoy each other's company. We had a huge social media presence, over 17,000 impressions that we received on what we were doing on social media. Engagement was very high at over 1,700 engagements. We put together 3 videos, but Justin is going to play 2 of those so the board can see what we did send out to the employees. They're brief and they're fun.
Only thing that's on my mind is who's gonna run this town tonight. Yeah, I said it, we are. This is Rock Nation. Pledge your allegiance. We gon' run this town.
We got one more. So those were done in-house, and we're blessed with an outstanding team. Grace and Micah led the way on those, and it was really fun. So thank you very much for that.
I'll just note that I've seen those pop up on social media on a regular basis, so we're being successful getting the message out there, at least to those of us who prowl around in social media.
Yeah, it's great.
No, for sure. And you know what, for the first video, man, you guys look tough. That was really awesome. It really was, to see that and see the authority that you guys were handling out the business out there and how tough you guys look. You know, I think office staff need to, like,
toughen up.
Yeah, they need to, you know, throw down.
Give me a wrench, I can swing it around my finger.
They need to throw down. There's some stuff that you guys could do. So
See, you guys,
no.
I knew that was a wrench. That was pretty good, huh?
I got a paper cut the other day.
So, no, but really great. And, you know, when the community sees that we're not just, yeah, exactly. We're people, we're part of the community. We like to, and there are so many people that enjoy the job and the service that we provide. You know, this isn't just a job. This is providing service. This is the family. This is the cohesiveness that we have with each other. So really, really great job on those videos.
All right, well, thank you. Last week, I flew up to Fresno and met with 15 ag leaders from across the Central Valley to talk about California Water for All and strategies to move California into some more positive policy perspectives with water, which is what Western is always up there. We need long-term water supply, and that's why I'm going up there. But what most people in Southern California don't realize, in fact, I would say hardly anyone in Southern California realizes, is that there's a huge crisis in the ag community about their needs for water. And their message points are the same as our message points in both Solve the Water Crisis and California Water for All and SB 366. We need the state to start planning for water abundance, not scarcity, because we worry about scarcity because we're going to get cut back by the state in shortages for our customers. It's more significant to ag because they're talking about taking huge amounts of acreage out of service for future ag. And that's terrible for food production for California. It's terrible for food production for the United States. And it's terrible for those communities up there that, you know, what do you do when 1 million acres of ag land go out of production? That is not good for the communities up there. And so they really want to partner with Southern California to push the same message. They're supporters of SB 366. We talked about that a lot. We need a bigger push from them on 366. As you know, that's coming back to the legislature, the assembly, this next session for approval. And so we got to make a big push, and I think we're finding some really great partners up there. They want a better plan, and they grow the plan from what I talk about. I talk about California needs a long-term water plan. They double down on that as the ag community. They say, we need a long-term water plan. We need a long-term agriculture plan for the state of California. What's California's goal in agriculture? Is it just to keep chopping away at the amount of ag land in production and hope that that creates water for other things? It's very, very interesting to meet with them and hear their perspective. They are working on the San Joaquin Valley Blueprint, which is a study, an analysis that they're doing, trying to solve the problem. So they're actively looking at projects, programs, environmental elements that will make water more sustainable for agriculture in the Central Valley. And they presented that to, I was up there with, I think, 5 other representatives from urban agencies, and they said, what do you guys think of that? Wanting support. And I said, I have a big problem with it. It's not big enough. It should incorporate the entire state. It shouldn't be San Joaquin Valley. So the momentum is building in the Central Valley, and we need to keep going there. So anyway, very rewarding to go. And then Jason Phillips, who is Friant Water Authority, they're a big provider up there for the ag entities, spoke at the Orange County Water Summit Friday, saying basically the same thing, that we need engineering solutions to our water problems in this state and stop managing water by feelings. That's what he said. We're managing water with feelings, not with science and engineering, and we need to stop doing that. So very interesting. And we will continue to work with those entities for their support in what we're doing with SB 366 and California Water for All. Expansion of the Western Leads program. So we talk a lot internally, and you see this video and of, you know, how much we value what each other does here at Western. And, you know, we all have different jobs, but they're all equally important to provide service to our customers. We're expanding our training programs with our management team. So not just our executive management team, but managers throughout the organization. We're kind of pushing all this training down so that we can make sure that we have the most effective management teams. And that's really showing in not just the efficiency of our operations, but in the morale of our employees, the culture of the organization, and our retention policies. And you know, I can't overemphasize how important our retention policies are, because we have extremely low turnover in this organization, and that saves us an enormous amount of money. You think about the loss of production when you lose an employee to retirement and go through the recruitment process, and we have an extensive interview process. It literally takes 4 to 6 months to bring someone on board, and that's work that's not getting done in that 4 to 6 months. So we want to keep people here and not let anyone retire anymore. So, but we can't control that part of it. Anyway, big push to engage more managers and supervisors within this organization. On a project standpoint, we're going to be back out at Northwell in Marietta. We have a 411 pop-up event on the 24th, 4 to 6. We're going to be out in the cul-de-sac. We found very good response. This is very targeted, right? The construction impacts are going to hit that neighborhood. Grace and her team has been out there numerous times. I think we've got lots of friends out there now. And not a lot of opponents, which is really nice. And we've developed those relationships with that immediate community. As you know, we had a lot of impacts as we constructed that well, put that well into service, and now we're going back out to create or construct water quality enhancement on that well as kind of a second phase, which the neighbors didn't count on. And so now we're making sure that they understand what we're doing and why we need to do that. So that's going very, very well. Last one. We have secured a date for what we call our wholesale customer roundtable event. So this is something that we've done in the past. So February 21st, noon to 1:30. We did this a while ago in here, and we invited all of our member agencies. We filled the room. We've confirmed Adele Hodge-Khalil, the GM at Metropolitan, will be speaking. So just want to give you a very preliminary heads up. All that notification and invites will be going out in January when we get closer, but that's in the planning hopper. With that, those are all the announcements I had for today. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Let me see, moving into director's reports. SAPA met yesterday. They took one action. For those who are familiar with SAPA's facility, they have kind of a demonstration garden area across the front parking lot from the building, and it has been non-maintained for some long time. And the irrigation system has not been maintained either. They have pipes that go to places that there aren't plants anymore. Half of those pipes are broken, so it's not really an issue. But they did approve directing the executive director to move forward with a landscaping refresh and irrigation replacement project. Most of the landscaping is going to be drought tolerant, and there'll be some emphasis on native plants. So I think it's a good move. The other thing in the discussions of other things that are happening, I learned about a potentially really exciting new method of dealing with the PFAS family of compounds. It is something called supercritical water oxidation, and it actually destroys PFAS in the wastewater treatment process. So it doesn't go into the sludge, it doesn't get discharged in the water. Orange County Sanitation District is doing a demonstration project next year of this technology, and we'll all learn more about it. It's in its infancy. I think there are bench model things that work, but there's not a full-scale demonstration anywhere yet. And the first one will be in Orange County, and we'll all learn from it. And as we learn more, I would hope that we would get a briefing so that we can be considering whether that's something that we want to look at for our facilities or not, as the case may be.
What is it called? Yeah, I was just gonna ask.
It is supercritical water oxidation.
And is there a specific company that's doing it?
There is, they're out of Indiana, and I'm sorry, I don't know the name of
Okay,
them.
I just curious,
Yeah.
'cause, okay.
So that was it for SAPA. MWD.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, yes, interesting update. Lot of stuff going on up at Metropolitan. The conversation going and piggybacking on what the general manager was talking about, we had the Delta Stewardship Council come down and do a presentation, and we had a panel that talked about the Delta Islands that Metropolitan owns. So there's 3 islands that Met owns. They're trying to figure out what to do with this at this point. The islands were originally purchased for staging areas for the tunnels, and now there's going to be some projects and some preliminary stuff that's being done with ag in particular, and that rice is kind of the crop that everybody agreed upon that would be a benefit up there in the islands for the ag group, and that would be the crop to go rather than corn or something else for the sustainability of the islands as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on. There was a lot of really smart people that were talking about some really interesting stuff with just soiling and all kinds of different things that they were going and looking at in terms of this project. So if you have some interest, and I'm sure Director Roten does, it's all on video, and you could see the talk that the panelists did and what they were talking about in some of the sampling and some of the things that they were coming up with for innovation and ideas to do with those islands up there. We had a legal packet for legal and claims that was over 800 pages this time around. All I can tell you is that legal services, we did vote on upping some legal budgets, and I can't talk about why. So, but you can imagine if it was a very lengthy package, so there were a lot of stuff that was going on with legal. So I got to be careful with what I talk about there. The other really interesting thing came under the Finance, Audit, Insurance, and Real Property Committee, and the discussions that were going on there. So, you know, one of the questions that I asked, that was over 200 pages worth of packet, but one of the committee items for discussion was talking about pure water and the cost recovery alternatives. And I had asked if this was discussed at the general manager's meeting, so I guess that's not come quite to you guys yet, which is kind of interesting. How am I supposed to have a big discussion about it if you guys haven't had a discussion about it to talk about concerns? And so that was brought up over the timing of when these are coming to committee versus when they're going to the general managers and, you know, the finance guys that really need to have these conversations and mill it around to have robust discussion about it. But one of the things that I'm really concerned about with pure water, and one of the questions that I asked was, how do these alternatives, and they're presented 5 different alternatives of this, what does that mean for the non-agencies that won't be receiving the benefit? So there's only 8 agencies that are really going to be benefiting directly from pure water, and there's an $80 million grant that was awarded by the state that's free and clear money. There's no repayment obligation, there's nothing with it. There's no cost match, there's no nothing. So they're doing this for pure water and trying to figure out what that means. So that got thrown back in the hopper. I'm sure the general managers are now going to have a discussion about what those 5 alternatives of cost narratives are going to be, and how is that going to benefit Western's customers? Where do we land on this, since we're not getting any water benefit out of this? So good luck with that discussion, and let me know how it goes. So that was also just one of the really lengthy topics that came to have discussions over that. And then one of the really sad things that ended up happening Monday night after committee meetings and whatnot, one of the longest sitting members of Metropolitan's board, John Morris, lost his wife of 52 years to breast cancer. And I just want everybody to realize that you wear pink proudly. There's a lot of people that are losing their lives unnecessarily to something that, gosh darn it, we should have been able to fix by this point. And she had a very long battle with that breast cancer, and the loss was felt. She is attended a number of state project trips, and supported John through 52 years of marriage of being in the water industry. And so the chairman closed the meeting and adjourned in her honor of her contribution to Metropolitan and supporting him and supporting staff on all of the state project trips that she's ever attended. So we are certainly offering our heartfelt condolences to him and his family and the loss that he is suffering and feeling. So, and with that, Mr. President, that will conclude my remarks today.
Thank you. Chino Basin Water Master, their meeting is next week, but of significance, they have a relatively new judge assigned to Water Master. The prior judge retired last year. Judge Ochoa said, I want to go see some of this stuff, so they figured out a way to do a tour each of the principal groups. There are three groups. There are the water producers, there's the agricultural group, and then there's the industrial group. Each of them got to send a representative, and it was all pretty well scripted, and it was a very successful tour. They packed everybody into a van. The judge was engaged all day, asked lots of questions, and so that has taken place. He's going to be a really good judge for Chino Basin Water Master. He reads a lot and wants to be really knowledgeable, and he's a really no-nonsense kind of a judge. He essentially says, you don't need to show up in my court if you're agreeing with what I am proposing in a proposed ruling. In fact, I'd rather you didn't, so we can keep moving along, which is kind of nice. Not all courts are that way. So that's it for Chino Basin Water Master. CDA.
Yeah, just a few things. We had an interesting general discussion about change orders there and concerns surrounding those because we had a few of them on our agenda. We did we authorized a contract award for the chemical room rehabilitation. And then we had a amendment to Webb's agreement for the well 1-11 booster pump station, and that had to do partially with a property line connection, or a correction, excuse me. The next item was a change order for the Chino 2 ion exchange system. I didn't have a note on that one as to why the change order, but it was repairs needed for the interior coating of the pellet reactor, additional painting. Oh, this was the one that had, we got a picture of the outside doors that badly needed painting. And sometimes I think, I don't want to minimize it, but maybe smaller things get lost in the details of the bigger things. And so that was a necessary change order. I'm also comforted by the fact that these all go to the Finance Committee and the TAC Committee before they come to us. So they've been well vetted, in my opinion. The next item was another change order, and it had to do, okay, these are the sodium hypochlorite, I hope I said that right, storage tanks. And when the bidding was done, they had overlooked the fact that 3 of these, I think they're 12-foot towers, needed ladders. And so it was like, okay, well, we need to put the ladders on there. So that happened. That was pretty much it. The general manager did mention that we're working on some new well sites in Ontario, and one was approved or agreed upon in a park there, and I apologize, I don't have the name of the park. And CDA is also working with Richland Home Builder in a project to the east of that park for additional wells. So they're looking at additional well sites to be included. And that wrapped up Chino de Salter.
Okay, thank you. RCRA.
RCRA was supposed to meet November 28th. We're going to be up for Aqua, so our next meeting will be December 12th.
Okay. WRCOG.
Next meeting.
Sarah.
Yes, we met last week. Yes, after, yes, after 4 months, we met last week. A lot of financial items. There was we approved the Soraz Authority's final annual audit report. We had an unmodified or clean opinion, so that was okay. We approved the member agency annual reconciliation from fiscal year 2022-23 operating activity and reimbursement plan to Rancho California Water District. Usually that's done. Just a second. That's done, and we approved that. The item, there was a financial statement that needed approval, but that was pulled because there were some variances from actual and versus budget. So it's going to be presented in the next meeting, which is going to be November 14th. We approved the treasury report and certification of cash sufficiency, which are basically receive and file reports. And we had an update on capital projects and outside reports. Other than that, that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Aqua Region 9.
Aqua Region 9, we do have a board meeting scheduled this Friday at 2 o'clock. So it will be on Zoom. You are welcome to attend.
Okay, thank you. Other directors' comments? Director Torres, we'll start at your end.
Thank you. I just wanted to report out, where are my notes? Oh. I had the opportunity to attend the California Economic Summit in Indian Wells, which was amazing. It had a huge turnout from throughout the state, but really the Inland Empire, and including the Lieutenant Governor, the Assessor, California Assessor. What really stuck out to me were the discussions around workforce development, especially in climate industries, such as water, clean energy, and whatnot, and the roles that we can play in those, the amount of funding that is available throughout the state for those types of programs. And that was, I think, the best part. And of course, the networking, getting to know other people around the state that found that of interest. I did attend the Riverside Eastside Active Leadership community meeting last week. They are interested in learning a little bit more about what Western does and how they can be supported. I mentioned SB 366. So they'd like to learn more, know how they can be. It's a huge group that basically just their work is around keeping the Eastside community active in different policy changes. And then those are my updates. I'll wait until the end, but I do have a request for future agenda items when the time comes.
Director Roten.
Happy Halloween since we won't see each other then.
Yeah, I guess we won't. Oh, time flies. Just a couple quick things. I was able to attend the RCRA public tour a couple Saturdays ago. It was really well attended. Some people families, it was great. They had families with kids and just all kinds of different types of people. They sort of trickled in and joined a little bit late, but they were still there. And it was quite warm that day, but we finished it up, and just before I was going to tell someone, I'm going to walk back to the start. So it worked out really nice. And that was my second time getting to tour RCRA, and it really helped reinforce some of what I learned the first time. So I think it was a successful event, at least it seemed like it was. And of course, our staff was out there with all of their knowledge and smiling faces, and it was really a nice thing to offer, I think, for our folks. I also, just this past Saturday, logged on to the Master Gardener Western native plants presentation, and that was given by George Spiliotis, who is kind of near and dear to my heart. I had no idea he had this whole gardening plant side to him. He was the previous director of LAFCO, and so we worked very closely with him through our whole cityhood process. And he was always just a very fair and objective and helpful person through that process. So he gave a really fascinating, I thought, presentation, lots of pictures. I really had no idea, not just the variety of native plants, but the flowers, the blooms, and how beautiful they really are. So that was really fun to attend. I was able to attend the Orange County Water Summit, and really good presentations. Craig mentioned we can't do this based on feelings. It's got to be based on facts and accurate information. And the other sort of phrase that has been coined, I've heard it a few times now, we need to work on that culture of abundancy and not scarcity. And I'm definitely going to use that anytime I'm talking to people about water, because it's just so important. And I think people are tending to possibly get discouraged by so much talk about conservation. Yes, it's important, but we're doing it. We're already doing it. And so we need to look at the new sources for the abundancy. At my table were Chris Birch and Armand from JCSD. Savaji I saw him too. He sat at our table for a while. And I met a gentleman from Brea who works for the city of Brea, engineer. And also there was, I apologize, I should have looked up her business card, but the gal sitting next to me is with a company that, I don't know if they're a startup or just a new technology, but it has to do with desal. And it has to do with going really deep into the soil in the ocean and not disturbing the stuff on the top. And so Craig, you have maybe already heard of this, but it sounded promising. And she's also from Northern California. I think it was the San Jose area. And she's with a nonprofit that has a farm. So we got talking about farming, and it's just, where I'm going with that is these events, not only do you learn from the speakers, but you learn from the people that you're having lunch with or chatting with at the break, and they're just so profitable, in my opinion, for all of us in the water industry. So I was really happy to be able to attend that, and I think that's it.
Director, we are following that, actually.
Oh.
Ryan Shaw has been participating with that group, and we want them to pilot project, much like Orange County Sanitation District is doing with that really good idea.
Yeah.
We want to see a pilot so that these theories are proven out, that it really does save energy and it really can produce the amount of desal water. So we are watching it. We've been asked to participate, which, we'll figure out how far we want to participate in a pilot project for someone else, but we are tracking that.
Awesome.
Great. Director Denston.
Thank you. I also attended the Orange County Water Summit, the water policy talk, and, I was sitting at the Met table, and when the former Secretary of State for California said, when he was asked the question of what is the single most important thing that we could do in water today, and he said, build sites, all of the Met directors looked at each other. So I'm sure that that's going to be a level of discussion that we're going to really push to sit and have a conversation about, how much is pure water costing us? how much water are we getting out of it versus how much is Sites Reservoir costing us and how much water are we able to get out of that? I think that's going to be an interesting discussion that we're going to bring up. So really, really great. And you always go and when you're sitting with people and you walk around the room, you're right, you always talk about, oh, you're new, and why are you here, and what do you want to bring, and what are you talking about? So always great to have the conversations, because I had a conversation with a couple of the folks that you were sitting with, and was learning more about that too. So I'm really curious to hear more myself. I also attended the State of the City for Lake Elsinore, and some of the projects and things that they're doing about the lake health. So that's really great to hear that the city is investing some money into there, and, the aeration system that's kind of hit its maximum lifespan. And they're talking about what they're going to do for the water quality down in the lake, because it's such a huge benefit for the community down there. And a lot of people partake in that area for activities, and recreation. So great to hear all that information. And that is all I have today, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Rizvi.
Yes, as my directors was stating, I went to Corona Chambers breakfast, and I was sitting with the lady from Mila from the waste management, and we started talking about AB 366 and what we're doing, and she was very interested. So we will be meeting next week to just kind of give an idea of what's going on and what's the status. So it's interesting how you find people and then you start talking about stuff, and maybe we can find them to support AB 366 later. All right, that's about it.
Okay, I have nothing to add, so we will move on to requests for future agenda items. Director Torres.
Yes, so we had a public comment today, which incredibly valid and a valid concern on the public's on their question. But I would like to understand, or I'd like to see a presentation that helps us understand and better reiterate why big development connections do not come up for board approval. I understand that we don't have land use authority or jurisdiction, but how are those decisions different than something going to a planning commission versus, us just being asked to provide a service? I think that's a very important conversation. Aside from the other requests that were made today, it's important as to why we're not allowed to, or why we haven't taken that approach. And I think it sounds like this community is waiting for answers, and so the sooner the better. If we could do something in November, I think that would be helpful. But that's my request, my formal request to the board chair.
Okay. Sorry. Any other requests for future board items?
So I'm going to ask for this at the risk of someone saying, Laura, we've already done that. Pure water. I'm hearing a lot about it. It's being referred to. And I don't, have we had a presentation about it? Because I don't really know what it is.
Pure Water is a recycling water program that Metropolitan is doing with
Right.
what is it, LA San? LA San, and then 8 agencies that would be signing on that. So it's simply a recycled water project. They have one down in San Diego. It is very expensive.
Right.
And it's only expected to turn out about 155,000 acre feet a year. Am I on my number? Is that the estimate?
Yeah, those are all close. We can do a presentation. We can bring that back to
That would be
engineering
nice.
committee.
But it's in the billions of dollar range for completion to the project.
Which, in my mind, means it will at least indirectly affect us because of MET.
We're funding.
So, yeah.
And that's why I asked the question of why haven't the general managers had a conversation about the funding alternatives to move this project forward, and what does this actually mean for our agency, given the fact that we do not have a direct connection of benefit. There's an argument to be made that it relieves those agencies from taking state project, taking Colorado River project, and we're helping fund that, and there's, that disconnect of that benefit. But what do the funding alternatives mean? Because they sent it out to a big organization that did an analysis on it. So we can certainly have more conversation, but I'd really be great if the general managers had a conversation about what was brought first before we come in here and have.
Oh, sure. No, it doesn't have to be tomorrow at all. Director Rizvi, did you have something to add? You looked like you were wanting to say.
It might be appropriate for us to consider adding this as an agendized item at a future meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was asking for.
Okay, any other requests for future agenda items? Hearing none, there are information items in our packet, and I believe we do have a closed session today.
Yes, we'll be going into closed session to discuss the one item that is listed on the agenda. I don't anticipate any reportable action, but we will be reporting out in any event.
Yep. I'm sorry, can we start that at 11:05?
Sure.
Give us a break, and we have to set up Zoom in there. Oh. Oh, well. We'll handle it.
Request an agenda item go to committee.
Hey, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question.
We already bring
Yeah, we've brought
items that are
water
required
supply
to the
assessments.
board.
We
This
bring,
one's under 500.
yeah, we bring water supply assessments to the board, but
Recording in progress.
Are we ready to start? We need to call back into session.
Okay, we have completed closed session and we are back. Mr. General Counsel, would you report out from the closed session, please?
Yes, members of the board and members of the public, the board met in closed session to discuss the one item that is listed on the agenda, and there was no reportable action.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next meeting is Wednesday, November the 1st at 9:30 in this room. And with that, we will be adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's coming up quick.
Laura? Okay.
Recording stopped.
Called out in closed session using notes, my notes app for everything.
I've stopped the meeting.
Directors,
I literally downloaded it in there.
Oh, there's a
I'm like,
box lunch
I need
in the
this.
kitchen.
Keith, our birds of a feather, he loves his Excel. He will.
She didn't
we're
know
going-
that. Do we have a ton? Oh, okay, all right, good.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
But take your lunch.
Somebody goofed, not you.
No, but stand up, she used to stand up straight, not slouch. Yeah.
And I'm just going to zoom the.
Thank you, Michael.
I need both.